there are a lot of people who will want to know from someone like you who is advocating nature cure and the natural way of living and healing. So if I come to you with something like a diabetes, how would you use food or the concepts or the principles that you are talking about so far? How would you use that? What would you recommend to someone like me who's got diabetes? What would you recommend?
Right. I'm so happy you don't have diabetes.
I don't have diabetes, thankfully.
Okay.
But it's sad actually, because there are so many people who are very young, who are in their 30s, who are having diabetes. And that's very, very sad. And I wish we could just find the solution. And I wish they would just, accept the ways the natural ways of healing.
Yeah. Diabetes or any other named disease is not really recognized in Nature Cure, because for us, health is the real entity. And everything else is, a non-entity, in the sense that there is a lower state of health which you can get out of by increasing your health. So we focus on increasing our health, so the lower state of health would go away, because every lower state of health just indicates an accumulation of toxins. And a higher state of health indicates the body's ability to cleanse those toxins adequately. So from that perspective of Nature Cure, diabetes is just a lower state of health, right? And our mentor Arun Sharma has given us this wellness framework, which works quite well experientially and is quite effective, because it is holistic and it covers the spectrum of wellness. The 5 principles are ample exercise, adequate rest and stillness, positive food, positive thoughts, and channeling our creativity towards our own good and the good of others, right? Now, the first two, if you look at it, it is ample exercise and adequate rest. And our master would often remind us that the adjectives and the order are important. It is ample exercise and followed by adequate rest. It is not adequate exercise followed by ample rest, or ample rest before adequate exercise, right? So we need to really work towards our better health, which is why for some people it is easier to pop a pill, because in order to take control of our health, which is a commitment to increasing our level of health on a continuous basis, it takes work, it takes discipline, right? What's ample exercise in this case? In this case of lower state of health called diabetes, we need to work up a sweat, like in all cases, and it's important to work up a sweat in the presence of sunlight. So instead of indoor exercise, outdoor exercises are better, and yoga is a must, and especially twisting postures that work the pancreas, done with the guidance of a competent teacher, right? And of course, adequate pranayama before every meal 3 times a day. And when it comes to adequate rest and stillness, we need to sleep during the darkest hours of the night, which is like, at least 9 to 1 or 9 to 2 or 10 to 2. If one has to, be awake, at least sleep at 10. But ideally, sleep at 9. And even if you get only 4 to 5 hours of good sleep at that darkest band of the night, it's fine, right? And also rest a little bit after the biggest meal. Let's say dinner is your biggest meal or lunch is your biggest meal. Try to rest for 20 minutes in sitting position. And of course, build in a routine of meditation to calm the mind, because the mind and body is a continuum. And positive food. Well, positive food is just 5-fold food, which we talked about, which goes back to foods derived from the 5 elements and integrated into our body, right? The matter and method of intake of 5-fold food is what we talked about earlier. And in earth-based food, make sure you are taking whole, plant-based, organic food. And of course, foster positive thought. and let go of negative thoughts. Give yourself the permission to bless the person who hurts you, because our negative emotions hurt us first before they can hurt another person. So if I'm angry, for example, my body cells are going to be damaged first because of the biochemistry and the heat generated, even before I can utter the first word of anger at another person, right? And we can look at the other person either as a whole or as a fractured piece. And typically, if I look at another person as fractured, it is very likely that I look at myself also as fractured. And I don't think we want to live our life that way, right? And and looking at oneself as a fractured being, looking at others as a fractured being, is very often the seed of all diseases. Today they are called psychosomatic diseases, but that is very often the seed of all diseases lies in there. And also having like a good relationship with family members is the key to biochemistry of the body. Like every night to sit in a circle of sharing, or a triangle of sharing, if you're like a small family like me with one child, you can just say one word of appreciation about one another, and you can share silence. And it doesn't have to be just among families. It can be among roommates, neighbors, even if one is building, right? And sharing a word of appreciation for the day, a genuine word of appreciation, not like, you look nice or whatever, or, just appreciate you listening to me today, or appreciating the chore that someone did for you that day without even asking, right? All those things, or just smiling at you when you needed that smile. All those things, when we appreciate what we appreciate, appreciates. So, appreciate is not just a financial term, it's also a social term, right? And it has its own net worth. So we can be more liberal with our appreciations, liberal and authentic, right? It's sharing appreciation, sharing silence is such an important aspect of healing. And blessing all beings in this world is such a simple and powerful practice to restore our own will, to restore our own health. Therein lies the connection, right? And without restoring our will to restore our health, we are not going to get well. And these simple practices directly and indirectly lead us towards restoring our will to restore our health. And I think that's where I'm really going with positive thoughts. And with respect to the fifth aspect, which is channeling our creativity to benefit ourselves, to benefit others, it can be big or small. If you are passionate about something, working on it every day, even if it is just 10 minutes before going to sleep, will have its own positive effect of healing. And if you don't have one big project at which you are chipping away for a few minutes every day, you can still, work with your inherent abundances. Like one of my friend's father-in-law, he passed away recently, but he used to go on morning walks and collect flowers. And when he came back, he would share these flowers with his neighbors. It's such a simple act of sharing beauty, but it has deeper connotations of actually sharing connections with neighbors, right? Where the neighbors actually start to wait for the calling, for their doorbell to ring, because they know there will be this man. If we open the door, there will be this man standing with a bunch of flowers. Now, he was channeling his creativity in this simple way, but it's actually a very deep way. And so we can channel our creativity in ways that are big or small, continuous or discontinuous, but it's very important to be aware of my creative potential and giving it a channel in a way that does good to me and does good for others also. So, we can all do simple acts of kindness if we don't have a big project. It could be serving herbal tea to the watchman in these rains, or gifting fresh fruits to an auto driver because he may not have the means to pay for fresh fruits, right? And or you can just gift colors to a child on the street, which may never have the opportunity to have a picture book and colors and crayons, which are so abundant in all our households, right? Just lying in that toy bin forever. So we can share what we have in terms of our creative potential and our kindness potential. And that would foster our positive thoughts and channel our creativity. And those are the foundations on which, when we do ample exercise and take adequate rest and create room for stillness and practice taking in positive foods, which are fivefold foods, which are rich in the five elements, then we heal inside out. And we heal in a way where our cells are much more healthy. And it's not just the physical wellness that we are talking about, but we are healing in our spheres of mental wellness and our dimensions of spiritual wellness. And we feel more connected and whole. And therefore, we start looking at other people as whole. So I think that's where the healing begins, and a life can blossom or leapfrog into the next stage of evolution. So for me, it is not just about diabetes or curing diabetes, being free of diabetes, but it is about what is our optimal life on this planet and what is our potential and what are we doing to fulfill it, right? What are we doing to fulfill our potential on this earth?